Hello everybody, hope that you're doing very well and welcome to this evening's Contenders live stream where I have the following for you. I have a link chart of the week first up, and I actually think that tonight is a really interesting chart of the week because it's like still in play right now, so there's, it's still like on the line a live trade as it stands at the moment. So I feel it's like really interesting. Also the setup it's just it's a pretty nice one if I'm honest. So yeah, starting with a link chart of the week, and I think you'll all like it, to be honest. So that's good. And then moving on to the harmonic pattern. So the final part of the harmonics, there's just 3 harmonics left to cover. So yeah, I'm going to be going through those last 3 tonight, giving some examples, and yeah, then I want to end with an overview of Bitcoin, because obviously we're in this really tight range at the moment, so I can just like pass on some knowledge of how I'm looking to trade this. Hopefully it will, look for a break in, maybe in the stream, who knows, but, over the coming days. So yeah, I'll end with Bitcoin. Okay, and next week's obviously Fibonacci time, and that will likely be the end of the Fibonacci series, ending with the time, which is going to really closely link to the harmonic patterns, because Fibonacci time is actually a big part of harmonics. So yeah, next week will be the time section, which is really closely linked with these harmonics, to be honest. But yeah, that's the plan for tonight. Let me say hello. Let's talk about life. Yeah, Bitcoin is fairly slow, but I'm happy that Bitcoin's going slow, to be honest. I don't mind it going slow, so it's nice. So yeah, with that said, let's begin with link chart of the week. As you all know, one of the things that I say is, when Bitcoin is going slow, it doesn't mean, there's a few ways you could obviously use your time. As I've said to people today, you're probably better off, instead of trying to trade this Bitcoin range, watch some of the old streams, read a trading book. You probably will, in the long run, make more money by actually studying now than trying to put in the time on this Bitcoin range, because it's a difficult range. Or what you could do is look to trade altcoins, okay? Because I do feel altcoins, generally perform well. Okay, there's not a 100% rule, but generally they perform well while Bitcoin is sideways and ranging, and that's what it's doing right now. Okay, so yeah, with that said, link chart of the week. So this is one where I felt, well, firstly the setup was there. Okay, so firstly the setup was there, and then secondly, with the fact that Bitcoin's ranging, felt it was a decent opportunity, to be honest. And you can see it's basically sat at my entry, but this is not a this is not necessarily it's kind of envisioning how I'm playing it out. Okay, so basically long off a support resistance level, okay, which is the monthly, so we drop down through the monthly, reclaims it. Also the point of control of recent structure, which I will show you in a second, and we also have the 0.5 Fibonacci in there, and you also have a symmetrical triangle. I've put like an Elliott wave count attached to the symmetrical triangle. But the Elliott wave count is just not necessary, so to speak. Okay, I've just put it in there just to highlight it a little bit better. Okay, so it's like a short midterm trade. It's not a day trade. Okay, so although I will explain how I traded this triangle, by the way, but so midterm sort of trade, stop loss at invalidation, which is the low of the wick through the monthly, and I'm going to explain a little bit in detail why I've chosen this as a stop loss and why that's the invalidation. Okay, and targeting weekly resistance, so it's fairly nice. Okay, and what we had while I was making this PowerPoint this morning, we were sat around 308 100 sats. Okay. But I was envisioning this to drop down a little bit to finish the B wave of the C, and since this screenshot that I took this morning, it's down about 2%. So this is currently, just going as I would have expected. Okay. So there's no need to worry that you're down 1% on the day, because you are expecting this to come down to, round the bottom trend line. Obviously, we don't have this bottom trend line yet, whether it ends off of this wick or whether we get a slightly lower wick, hard to say at the moment, because well, let me go through the setup for you all first. So I have this in some, don't want you to pay too much attention to the Elliott wave count, but here we have like a wave 1 coming down for an A, a B, and a C, and the 2 coming up for a third, coming in for an A, B, C, D, E in a triangle, ending for a fifth. Okay, but that's just, helping you to envision how this triangle A, B, C, D, E breaking upwards. Okay, then you obviously have the flat in 2 triangle in the 4th. Alternation is pretty nice as well. So also, yeah, so that's what brings you up to how you get to this triangle anyway. On top of that, okay, it's because of how you adjust the Fibonacci. So if I've got the bottom of wave 2 here, well, I'm playing this as some form of like, ABC, then if we go from the bottom of the 2 to the top of 3, we also hit the 0.5 Fibonacci here, as you can see. So we also have this 0.5 fib. So and you can see that you bounced directly off of that to form this B wave. So I'm going to remove this I'll keep the fib on, it doesn't matter too much. Okay, so like how this is playing out now. Okay, so what we can see is we obviously dropped down for a little bit of a 3, then up for a 3, and now what I'm expecting, okay, is this to come down. Obviously we can, not much subdivision here, but nevertheless coming down for maybe like another zigzag, to be honest. So some form of A, some sort of B, and then down for the C. Okay, so if we think that this is putting in a flat, let's say this was some form of A, B, and we're coming back up for a C to head back down to form. That's the A, that's the B, that's the C of the C here. Okay, hope you're following along. I know I haven't covered Elliott waves in the stream yet, but basically then we'll look for a 1-to-1 extension. Let's say we get our move, up to, who knows where it's going to come up to on this, but let's just say it comes up to here. Then we could say the 1-to-1 is obviously looking down here, because you look for a 1-to-1 extension. We've done extensions before, and obviously we will take the extension if at this moment in time from high to low to this next high, look for generally the 1-to-1 extensions. So yeah, this is how I envision it playing out. Don't think we'll get that low, but maybe up to around here. But yeah, still it's likely that you still get a drop down. What you can take a note of though is from the last low to that high, okay, we are bouncing off around the CC, and if you move it down to the A, you can see it hit the 618. Okay, and that's where there was really strong confluence, okay, because obviously you had this 618 exactly, and then from that low to that high, you obviously also had the CC, so you had, they're obviously very close levels, but nevertheless, from there you obviously got a pretty, at least even if you're just day trading this, you had a good day trade up to there, okay? And now it's obviously heading back down, but recovering a little bit as we're speaking. So yeah, this setup is very much still in play. Okay, so I'm expecting it to go a little bit more sideways. To be honest with you, I'm expecting a little bit more sideways. But so I was going to mention the reason why this is the invalidation. Okay, so in a triangle, okay, so let me mention one thing. If this was Bitcoin, okay, if this was Bitcoin, it's very likely to do that and then that, okay, or the opposite, that and then that, because Bitcoin is full of fake outs, but Link is actually pretty well technically traded and it doesn't have so much fake outs. So that's like an advantage of Link, I suppose. I like trading fake outs, don't get me wrong, like on Bitcoin, but on Link, I'm not expecting it, although 100% it's possible. I'm just not so much expecting a fake out before a rise or a fake out before a dump. To be honest with you, it's a little bit more technically well traded, I suppose, by the book. And so with that in mind, okay, the invalidation of a triangle is obviously the low here. So you could come down to here and bounce, but as soon as you even wick through that low, then the whole triangle idea is officially invalidated. Okay, so really you have the invalidation. If you're playing a long, there's your invalidation, and if you're playing a short, you've got your invalidation up here, because obviously you can short Link if you want. So if you are, I'm not, if someone's looking to trade this triangle short, for example, then the invalidation is the top of where the triangle started, and the same, this is where my stop loss is here, because anything lower than this, even by a wick, is invalidated this triangle setup, and I want to be out of the trade essentially. And this is like one thing as a trader you need to just if you keep your stop loss at invalidation, then if I get stopped out, I can say, well, 100% I was wrong in my analysis here, and it's fine to be wrong. You can't win every trade, but that's just one thing to highlight, that if we do, that's where my invalidation is, and that's where I know I'm wrong. And then it gets to a case that when you know you're wrong, you don't want to keep holding on to a losing position thinking, oh, this is going to turn around, this is going to turn around. No, when you get your invalidation, you get out of the trade, obviously. But so far, everything is looking pretty nice. Let me show you the volume that I wanted to show you a second. Okay, so another thing that's really nice about this is clearly the volume is, oh, what happened there? Clearly the volume is going downwards, okay? So you see that this, as we move along the triangle, what do you expect in a triangle? You expect decreasing volume, okay? And even if we take it like this, you can clearly see volume is decreasing, okay? So volume is falling off as we go through the triangle. So these are all just signs, okay? There's never 100% guarantee, don't get me wrong. But these are all signs that we have good odds in our favor to look for continuation to the upside, okay? And then I also wanted to show you on the daily this point of control that we're currently sat at, okay? And that was when I was looking at the range, must have been this range on the 4 hourly, no? I think it might have been this. Yes, so think I had it when I was like this. Trying to load it exactly. Okay, yeah, there we go. So you also see you have the pointer control around where we are now. So obviously there's a lot of volume. So this is going back since October. Okay, so we're talking nearly 3 months. Okay, so well, 3-4 months. Here we have just that amount of data. We can see we have a crucial, pointer control of where we are more or less now, and then we have a secondary high volume node just before the stop. So there is a lot of confluence here for this position to essentially work out, and if we lose these lows, okay, then yeah, it's kind of invalidated the setup that I'm looking at, hasn't it? So that's my viewpoint on this. All we could say, I would like to just point one more thing to you here. You see the top of this B wave, okay? You can see how perfectly this done resistance, okay? If you see here really quickly, resistance, and you see how it flipped to support here, and this is where you can say like Link is really technically traded. Obviously I wasn't trading this exact support resistance flip. I was waiting for a bit of confirmation that we dropped down through the weekly, swing failure that low, dropped down through the weekly onto resistance, flip to support, and then recovered the monthly. So yeah, my long was a little bit higher. But it was as this was dropping down, got filled on must have been this wick here, on this drop down here, and then we obviously move back up, move back down, and then move back up. And if I was day trading this, like 100%, my target would be these series of highs, okay? Because that's where, for a day trader, if you're entering here, for example, okay, stop below the lows, looking up for this high here, that would be like a day trade in itself. But obviously I wasn't day trading this, it's more for the medium term for me, or I'm talking a week long, to be honest. So yeah, that's why I haven't actually taken profit there. But in hindsight, I was trading the triangle, I could have taken profits here and added it back on at the lows. But yeah, I'm not too bothered in like over managing this position, to be honest. I think it's looking pretty nice. So yeah, there's Link for you. I will show you one bearish thing about it, and this is where when you, like, as you know from last week's stream, you have to make a case for the bullish and bearish scenarios, and I think the bullish case here is, I could find some more things here, but that's a pretty strong bullish case already. The bearish case for me is the fact that we have done this, okay? So this is the bearish case, and it is a big case, to be fair, okay? From the overall high to that overall low, we've come up to the 618 here, okay? So if I just hide, let's just hide these things a second. Okay, so you can see from high to low, we come all the way up, hit the 618 to the exact sat, more or less, before you got a heavy drop in price, and I want to put that back on. Okay, so you see how just amazingly crucial the 618 is. High to low, 618 hit, very big drop, and we're talking about 10% drop, okay, before it went into resistance, flipped to support, and got an instant, nearly 8-9% recovery. So unfortunately, I don't actually short coins on Binance, okay? So I'm not I short on BitMEX, but on Binance I generally have stayed away from shorting coins. So I did not take that short. Didn't take the long at the very lows, but took the long after the reclaim of the monthly, essentially. So I hope that all makes sense to you. So yeah, there's that. Cool. So that is Link chart of the week. Hello. Strong consolidation at resistance. Yeah, this is nice. If it's obviously we form some form of triangle here at the 618 resistance, it's good. You really want to keep these high lows coming up, so you want to really keep that, and then that, let's say, so you want to just keep going up high lows. As soon as you do it come through here, it's game over, and you just need to be then out of your position, don't you? So yeah, as long as we can really keep up those higher lows, at this resistance, and it's absolutely fine, and we know where we're wrong. That's like the main thing. Oh yeah, here was another thing of confluence that I didn't show you actually. Okay, so this is a Fibonacci speed fan. So I just realized I still have this on the chart. So this is a Fibonacci speed fan, yeah, from the very low up to the high. And I loved this, by the way, that on the drop that we had here, okay, so I'm trying to highlight this for you now. Fibonacci speed fan from the low up here to the high. You can see this is the 618 line of the Fibonacci speed fan. Look how we dropped down and had that confluence of the 618 here on the resistance flip to support. So in hindsight, yeah, that could have been an amazing trade, but just one of those things. This happened at 4 a.m. That was probably the reason why I didn't take it. Yeah, 4 a.m. that drop happened. yeah, I wouldn't have been awake at that time. Wouldn't have alerts set for Link to trade an altcoin either. But yeah, at 4 a.m. you can see that drop down onto the 618 Fibonacci speed on top of the resistance flipping into support. So, you know, that would have been a good trade in the time. Obviously, with the fact that you swing failure pattern that low, you would have bought here 100%. You know, just mark it into that and you would have got a very, very quick rise indeed. And that's just technical analysis working really, really well. So yeah, there is that. I think Link is looking really, really nice. Okay. Alternation. So yeah, there is a bit of alternation in terms that this is, I'm looking at some sort of flat, this some sort of triangle. I don't really want you to pay too much attention to the Elliott wave count, if I'm honest. More just the fact, you know, there's alternation in this is a this is a flat, this is a triangle. That's enough alternation. Just the fact they're different patterns. Yeah. An ascending triangle. Yeah, I will take a look at that really quickly. So you said, I have already looked through all of these. Where's your ascending triangle? Yeah, I guess ascending triangle could play out. If you, the thing is, you're like, why are you not using this wick? And then here you've taken to the wicks. That's the only thing I'd say. But yeah, ascending triangle or symmetrical here, it's leading to the same answer. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. Although I would say the symmetrical triangle is a lot better, rather than saying that my argument would be why are you going from here, for example. I don't know, like either go from close to close or wick to wick. And if you're going from close to close, then it doesn't work. So going from wick to wick, in my opinion, makes much more sense. Hence why I've done it. I have a monthly at 3133. So this is the thing or you're going to notice that I've got my monthly 29762. Okay, and there is a little bit of discrepancy I'm sure that people are going to have with this monthly level, and that's because whether you've taken it from here or from here. Okay, yeah, both really could be used. You see that there's a slight difference, and this also is still this is a monthly. So for the 31300, yeah, 100% that you do have a monthly level there. Okay, I just had for some reason not had it on my chart there. Yeah, 100% that is a monthly level. Okay, so yeah, that's another thing that you're going to be battling with here. Okay, and you can see that you have been battling with this, but yeah, 100% that is a monthly level. I just must have like removed it from my chart while clearing things up. But yeah, 100% that is a monthly level, okay? And, you know, then you have that monthly on that higher wicks. Like 100% it would have been a take profit for me as like a day trader, 100%. But because I'm like swing trading this, yeah, for me, I just didn't take profits there. Just because it's a swing trade, not a scalp trade. But yeah, 100% that is a monthly level. So yeah, I'm not going to argue with that. Cool. Yeah, no worries at all. So with that said, I hope that you have enjoyed that section of that, and there we go. Yeah, so I do look through these and everybody had more or less the same ideas, with everybody with long entries, so that was nice to see. Yeah. I'm going to mention this for like 2 minutes because I just remembered this, and I don't want to give this too much attention, but this really annoyed me actually just before I started the stream. That you know, I obviously had like these threats coming through to my house. Yeah, people. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like so much things happening. Yeah, basically we found out who it was, and what was just really, really funny is that they've been like making like lies up about me, saying that apparently I had some Telegram group. You know, it's just complete lies. Never even have Telegram. But you know, this sort of thing where you actually found out who it was, and yeah, they're just like, yeah, just crazy sort of lies and stuff going on at the moment, which is just really sad, I suppose. But yeah, there's that. But at least we found out who that was. So yeah, with that all said, let's move on. Oh yeah, this is one that I would like to point out a second. Obviously, last week's chart of the week was ICX, and I will briefly, I'm aware of time, but I want to just go through ICX because it was just absolute perfection. It really, really was. So as you know from last week's stream, I had an ICX setup, and obviously that was around from this, it was on this liquidity run here onto these highs, wasn't it? Okay. or it might have been from this entry here. I can't remember now. This was over a week ago. I think it was on this liquidity run here where I had my first order filled and then never had the second order filled, and I had one of 2 orders filled. That was it. And then obviously I was looking up for the daily as a target, and then obviously we hit the daily target. What we then done was drop back down into resistance, flip to support, and that was another entry up to weekly. And then obviously after we hit weekly, I said the next entry is going to be moving down onto the daily, targeting the monthly, and that was the exact setup that I done last week in the live stream, and this is how it played out. So yeah, we literally did get that move down as I was expecting onto daily. There was the stop below that low, never even hit, and you had that come up and hit monthly again. So there's another 15% that you could have just made by watching. Like, well, I don't want to say that because I don't want to say I gave you any setups, but educationally, you could have paper traded this or whatever you wanted to say. You know, not financial advice, but you could, you know, that traded exactly as expected, basically, Icon. So that was lovely. That really, really was lovely. Onto the daily, back up. Onto the daily, well, through the daily slightly, reclaims the daily 15, about 16% up again to that monthly. So that was absolute perfection. Very, very nice indeed. And as you can see, have a guess what the next trade might be. Not gonna say to you, but you might be able to imagine. So yeah, that was nice. There is that, and there is hitting target, and look at that, you get the retrace again. So like last time you hit that weekly target, you got a 10% retrace. This time you're down to 3%. So you can see these levels absolutely working brilliantly. So cool, there's that. So yeah, let me just take a really quick drink. Yeah, maybe it was a scammer. So from the comment, I'm going to get to the content in a minute, but yeah, I think obviously they like wrote me messages saying close down the group. You know, I had death threats. The problem is there was to my mum's house, and that's why I temporarily moved back to my mum's, because I had to contact firms to install security. You know, I'm a family guy, so I don't care moving back to with my mum temporarily, but nevertheless, it's still a pain, obviously, isn't it? But yeah, obviously I had then like the kind of death threats, the threats of saying pay me like £300,000 or we're gonna like reveal your address, we're gonna reveal. Apparently I'm a swimming teacher, God knows how their chemistry works in their brain, thinking if I'm a swimming teacher I make 300 grand, who knows? But you know, obviously all total random lies. But yeah, I don't want to give any time to it, any more time to it than what I've mentioned here. It's just be careful with what you read. Some people are just blatantly spreading lies, and this was the best comment, I think. I'm going to move on really, really swiftly after this, but this was probably the best comment of that some people that like comment in the group saying, you know, asking for information, they've obviously been seeing this. They DM the guy saying, oh, don't join this guy's group, he's a scammer, join our group, which is just ironic as hell. I don't know, kind of, yeah, just crazy. But nevertheless, no more time I'm going to give to that. That's the end of it. Okay, so harmonic patterns. Yeah, like harmonic patterns are absolutely brilliant. And what I really, really like is that I have seen people starting to post the harmonics in the group. And, you know, this for me is good because I feel that harmonics are like really, really, really strong trading patterns. Okay, they're really, really, really nice. You know, I've done can safely say that some of my best trades have come from harmonics, and that is just because, you know, obviously you have, you know, it revolves around Fibonacci, it revolves around time, so it's like not just Fibonacci, it's also taking into, you know, geometry of the market into account. Okay, you obviously then have time. It's actually, it might seem really, really simple that you're thinking, oh, it's just, you know, like 3 or 4 Fibonacci. 3 or 4 Fibonacci retracements in a row, or extensions, whatever, in a row, and we have a harmonic. But that is, there is obviously more to it than that. But you know, it's like bringing it all together, and you can get some really, really, really powerful trades off of it. So I love that people have started to use them. And tonight I present to you what I call the 3 really more advanced patterns, okay? And that's because they use slightly different tools there, and they are just harder to really spot than the other trades, if I'm honest. Okay, and what I'm going to be covering tonight is the shark, okay, which then goes into the 5-0, and the cipher harmonic is the only one to use the Fibonacci extension. So this is the only harmonic out of all of them that uses the extension. Okay, and I would like to start with Decipher. Okay, so yeah, Decipher, really, really lovely pattern, I suppose. Fairly simple in terms of how we do it. Okay, so it starts and I've got an example again of a coin that's literally in this pattern right now. So yeah, this might bring some joy to people that love this coin. Okay, and that coin is Phantom. Okay, so yeah, so what are we looking at here? Okay, so what are we looking at? Okay, so what you're looking at is obviously X to A. Okay, in reverse, X could be quiet, Siri. That totally threw me off there. It must have thought I was speaking to Siri. But here we have from X to A. So yeah, I was going to say X to A can obviously be from high to low, and just in the form of this cheat sheet, I've got it low to high. Okay, but from X to A can be any impulse size. Again, I like to trade these on the higher term time frames. Okay, from X to A, we then get our retracement. Okay, and it has to be between the 382 and the 618. I say has to be. I want to say, let's say for example, it can go to the .66, okay, just as it can go to .362. You can give it a bit of space. It doesn't have to be exacts. And what I also like to say is, maybe if you're trading something like the stock market, for example, where you don't see massive wicks all the time because there's so much more liquidity. I'm talking of higher market, obviously bigger stocks. You don't see these massive wicks. Okay, Bitcoin is a highly leveraged market, just like Forex. Okay, and you obviously do see these larger wicks. You do see these stop runs. So bearing in mind, obviously with trading cryptocurrency, you can give things a little bit more space than what you would do when you're trading equities, and that's just because we're in a highly leveraged market, and not just highly leveraged, just the fact that it's not got the liquidity there at times. If you look at the market today, I bet the market is very, very, very. I'm referring to Bitcoin here, but it's not going to be with a high amount of volume today. It's going to be very, very, very low, and obviously when volume is low, you can move the market easier with less money. Okay, and so just bear that in mind. It doesn't have to be 618 exactly. You can see levels through this slightly, but around this sort of close region. Obviously if it starts going to the 886, then that's just, you obviously can't call that valid, but within this very small region of the 382 and 618. So from A to X to A, you then retrace and get that at B. Okay, and then to get C is where it's really nice. Okay, so then to get C, okay, what you're looking at is the Fibonacci extension. I'm going to go over this while looking at Phantom in a second, and I'll actually show you how I've got this drew out on Phantom. But X to A, back down to X, and you look between the 1.133 and the 1.414. Okay, then once you've got that C found, you then look for the D. Okay, which you're looking for the 786 retracement of X to C. Okay, and point D can also be located between the 1272 and the 2 of B to C. So here I've got a literally live example for you of Phantom. Okay, so let's do this one. Okay, so Phantom, and that was, I was looking at the high at the start of SEP. Okay, so cool. So one thing to bear in mind. 1 second. I'm not going to go into any more time spent on it. I literally couldn't care about those scammers, to be honest, but it's just made me, I don't know, just blew my mind. But I don't really care too much, but yeah, so what I wanted to show you was that in the pattern section here, obviously when we know all the other harmonics use the XABCD pattern. Okay, so all the other harmonics use this. Okay, so when we were looking at the sharp, for example, where you're using the XABCD, the cipher actually has its own unique pattern. Okay, so the cipher pattern can be located just underneath the general harmonic pattern. I think this is why it has a little bit more of confusion as well, because it literally has its own section, okay, which is the cipher pattern. So yeah, the cipher pattern here. Okay, so what we can say is we're starting, look at this impulse. Let's just firstly appreciate that this was a impulsive rise of 60%, okay, and just in the fact that 60% rise literally took 8 days. So a massive, massive, massive increase in price, okay. Obviously from that massive increase in price, we had a big downtrend. Okay, so first thing we're looking at is from the top of that move, okay, down to the low. Look where you came up to. Okay, so is there any surprise? I really don't think there is, that you come up to the CC. Okay, so from that CC, what we can say is so from high to low here, and then obviously what we're looking at here is the cipher pattern. Okay, so again, that's got its own pattern here. From the top of the move, I hate the magnet tool sometimes, it's a bit annoying. So obviously from the top of the move down to our low there, we came up to the CC. Okay, and that is officially going to be this high here. Okay, then after hitting that, after hitting that CC region, we obviously got a very, very big rejection. Okay, so let's just click. I'm just going to remove the pattern in a second. I just want to verify that this was the exact high. So if we just come up to a daily chart, because this is obviously really important that you're actually, so this high here is 184. This one was again 184. Cool, yeah, so it was a double top. So we take the first high. Okay, obviously the reason why this is important is because when you're going to see, like next week when you start going over Fibonacci time, okay, whether you have to be selecting the right high, because that's obviously gonna be a difference of a total of 9 days. But yeah, so that's obviously really important. But nevertheless, what we can say is X, so that was the high, by the way, of B, and now we're looking for the C, up for the D. Okay, and remember what I said, that this is the only pattern that uses Fibonacci extension. You know, the rest we would be going like this, wouldn't we? Okay, for the rest of them, for instance, the shark would be looking for these expansion targets. Okay, but what we're looking at here is using the extension tool. And here, for the extension tool, you remember you start at the top of X. Okay, so the top of X down to the first low, and then you take it back up to the start of X. Okay, so as I've kind of like wrote about it here in the cheat sheet. So price expands to form C, from the 1.313 of X to A. So X, A, down to X again. And let me do that one more time, okay, just so you can fully understand, because it's obviously different. I'll remove this fib so it's also easier to see. So again, from the top of X to A, back up to the top of where X started, okay. As you can see here, really, 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 really nice. You hit the 1.33, okay, and you actually get an instant 18% increase in price, or instant, obviously a bit of an exaggeration, but you get an 18% increase in price right there. So that is just amazing to begin with. Yeah, 18% off of that low being hit. Okay, as we know, this could come a bit lower. Okay, so it's not necessarily, has to reverse, but because it could come down to the 414. Okay, obviously the 414 is all the way down at 76. So be aware that that's 30% away. Okay, so a massive drop if this support is lost. For example, if you're looking that again, I really want to stress, and I think just for legal reasons, I'm gonna just load this up. That I'm not giving you financial advice, telling you how to trade. This is educational reasons only. Don't put any money on the line. Anything you do, I'm just not giving you any advice like that. But let's say you're looking to let's say you're looking to long list, then obviously your stop loss is going to have to be below that low, which is currently about 5%. But if you're trading up for like 70%, then the risk reward is great, isn't it? But yeah, just be aware that really this can come down between this region, okay? Between this region. What could we say? What's some ways that we could say, let's say we don't want to buy here, okay, because we don't like the risk. Then what we can say is reclaiming this floor. So let's say price reclaims, I guess we could even give it up to the monthly, really. So if price reclaims 130, let's say it moves up to a bit like this. Reclaims 130, well then suddenly we can have a lot more probabilities in trading this for the D leg, okay, if you don't want to buy like right now, okay. Let's just say that's an example, because you could come lower, okay. But then we come back to the cipher, okay, and now we can obviously say we have X, we have A, we then came up for B, we then came down for C, which we can acknowledge could definitely be in right now, or it could come down lower. But nevertheless, once we have that, we're then looking up for the 786. Okay, so that would come up for about, 786. Obviously, from B to C, this is not going to be very confluent at all, okay, because this extension is going to be very, very, very big. Okay, but we can see the 1313, 1272. So it's basically on the 1313, okay. So yeah. That's the cipher. That's the cipher pattern, okay. Obviously, officially, so let's just make this really clear that officially you don't be trading this C at the moment. You wait for the D, and then obviously in the phantom example, you'd be looking for D to be hit and then shorting it. So from the textbook, you're not even trading this whole leg here, because you're only waiting for the D essentially to short. Okay, and as mentioned, you can use the 618 for this profit taking. Okay, so I wrote it here somewhere. Yeah, so you can use the 618 of C to D. So let's say you were longing at point D here, Fibonacci retracement from C down to D, and just look for the 618 as a take profit. Okay, and I think that's everything that I wanted to explain on this one. Okay, so yeah, things that we can look at. So let's think of what we could use for confluence. So what we could use here is a bit of volume. Okay, so we can see here. It's really nice actually. So you see how much massive buy volume there was. There was more actual buy volume in that candle that we had there than there was in this whole move of 60%, by the way. So that is pretty nice to see that that volume coming in at the lows. But what we really want to see for this to continue, I mean, yeah, that was a massive spike in volume, to be honest. So that's great. But what we really would like to see now, to have more confidence, really, is this for to continue upwards. I'm going to say at the very least reclaim 120. Okay, so the higher that wick came in 124. Let's just say 130 for the sake of this. Claim 130, and you also want to see this volume actually increase. Okay, because currently it's just dead again. So you see how the volume died. You had a massive spike in price here. But really then the volume died, okay, which isn't really that great. You don't want to see that, but obviously you've just gone sideways, so it's not the end of the world. But all I'm saying is if you're bullish and you want to see this continue up, you need to see the volume start to come in again, okay? Because that's really, really, really important. If you actually do move up here and the volume stays dead, then that is it's just not bullish, okay? So more bearish, and that's where you could see this come down to, for example, the 1414. Okay, so you could see this come down to here if we just get no volume pickup, okay? Because technically as well, we've just gone support, flip to resistance, okay? So, you know, that's why you could come down to here. And I think at the end of the day, if you bought a monthly and you had a bit of price action coming into the monthly and you're still looking at 46%, so you know, there's no need to try and catch the exact low. You can wait for this bit of confirmation, and you still would have, you know, let's say it does something like this, okay, let's say it comes back up, comes back down, comes back up, and then works its way around here. Once you reclaim that level, let's say you could put your stop below whatever the last bit of price action was, and you're aiming up for, you know, this 786 region, okay? Yes, so that's what I wanted to explain. So let's come back up to the 4 hour. Again, and I was going to actually say one more thing, so I just want to remove that a second, and that was it. So from X, let's just go here, from B to, let's say this is in them, for example, okay, and then we were saying the 786, okay, so 786. Okay, so all we could say is really from 195-207. This is like a really good region. Okay, what do you also have here? You also have the 200 psychological, so that would obviously be a bit of resistance. 200 psychological, 78, 1313. Let's see where the point of control is of this basing structure. Okay, so that's value area high as well. Okay, point of control is coming in at 150 sats, but value area high 200 sats. So yeah, 200 sats really big resistance. Obviously first you need to get through 150, which I'm sure you're also going to have in here. Okay, if we just delete that, you know, this is how you like think ahead and start planning ahead. I also think at 150 you're going to have the 618 there. Yeah, so exactly. So don't get me wrong, that's going to be a really big resistance level because of the fact you have the point of control. Yeah, so you have the point of control here, literally on the 618. So yeah, it's going to be massive resistance. 150 sats, and that's even if you get down. I'm not saying we're getting a gap to high, by the way, but I'm just saying, you know, if this is to play out, because we could still come down lower here, but that 150 is going to be big resistance. But then just imagine how perfect this would be. So let's say we get our D finished, okay, then remember how you're getting your target. Okay, remember how you get the target for D. You go from low of C up to the top of D. Okay, so that's how you then really, you would look, if you could short this, okay, you would, or if you wanted to short this, you would short it here, okay, target the 618. Okay, once you've targeted the 618, you could expect a rise in price. Okay, and then what you can actually envision here, how nicely it would work, is that 618 is on this weekly as well. So you can start to see how we could start be looking really far into the future of how this could trade. And you know, when you're prepared, you have a plan. This is the sort of stuff you want to be doing. You know, we could start envisaging buying here. You know, just you know, you can see, I'm sure you can see how helpful that is. Cool. I have a few questions. So, so for a claim of the level, if you're a swing trader, you want to see that claimed on consecutive candles. So let's say 4 hour, at least 2 4 hour candles above a level, then we can say, you know, there's obviously no 100%. Okay, there's no 100% in trading, because you could do this and then come back down, for example. Okay, but you know, really you have to have some sort of filter in place. So you could say 2 or 3 closes above that level on the time frame you're trading off of is a claim. Okay, so not necessarily just one close above. That just is really aggressive. And don't get me wrong, I sometimes trade really aggressive. But you know, let's say I'm scalp trading. Okay, let's say we're down on the 5-minute chart. Okay, I say, oh, I'm waiting for a claim with a monthly and I want a 5-minute close. Okay, what you could do is instead of just having the 5-minute close above, because then you could just come straight back down, is actually wait for 1 5-minute close above, 2 5-minute closes above, come back down. Okay, 1 minute, 5 minute above, 5 minutes above, 5 minutes above, that's 15 minutes above the level. We can say, well, this is, there's no guarantee, but we can say there's a good probability that level has now been claimed as support, okay, after dipping down through, stop loss, and go on, sort of thing. So yeah, you can use like filters of having consecutive closes through the level, which if you find yourself having that problem, then yeah, use some sort of filter like that. Myself am sometimes a bit more aggressive, okay, but yeah, that's all I wanted to mention. So that was one of the questions. So the cipher pattern is different just because of the only real difference is the way that you calculate the C wave is different, okay? So that's the only real difference between them. It's just literally how you calculate the C wave. What time frame? So you know, I generally will only trade a harmonic on a higher time frame. So as I've said here, 4 hours plus, so 4 hour daily, weekly, monthly, higher term time frames. You can trade this on the 5 minute. You can trade it on the 5 minute, and I have traded harmonics on the 5 minute before, but I'm just saying for you all, you're gonna have more. You're just gonna find it easier to trade harmonics because you have to think it's not so much like. There's just a little bit more planning that goes into a cipher or just like a harmonic trade in general. And if you just have to be quick, okay, when you're scalp trading, you have to be quick anyway. But if you're trying to scalp this on like a 1 minute chart, and you just have to be really on the ball, and if you're on the ball, then yeah, absolutely you can do it on lower term time frames, but you're going to find it a lot easier to do this on a higher term time frame, so you can recognize, plan, get everything sorted. Just like swing trading is easier in general. But yeah, any term time frame really, but I'm going to say like 4 hour plus is where you should stick to, at least until you've nailed down it. Daniel, do you initially eyeball these patterns? Yeah, 100%. When I recognize a harmonic, it's always just from visually looking, that looks like it's right, and then I'll go in and do more detail on it. But for instance, when I go through some of my charts, okay, so let's say, for example, I was going through my Binance list, okay, and I just started going through charts, okay, I could recognize, obviously on a higher term time frame, I could recognize one of the patterns just like visually. Okay, so let's say, for example, I just saw Decred here. Okay, so this was obviously one that come down to the CC around 1 point. Oh, did I get? Okay, so, oh yeah, I'll do TNZ. So where is that? Because that literally was a lovely, lovely, lovely trade, and I gave that in a cheat sheets in the trading updates. So where is Tezos? Oh, where was it? Oh, where's Tezos? Here. So obviously. Well, here we obviously hit that 618, and we're still moving up now, by the way, 26%. But yeah, like when I'm like scanning through my list, I just wanted to mention Tesla because that was just like an amazing spot. Myself literally gave it to you all. I was on that 618, 25%. But yeah, like when I'm going through my list, I will literally just be going like this. Obviously not that fast, but I'll be like going through, spending like 10 seconds, 15 seconds on the chart, see if there's a setup that I like. If I like a setup, then I'll stay on the chart longer. But yeah, no, for example, I would know that I click on this and I'd be like, well, there's no setup there because look what's just happened. I'm not interested in trading that. I'm not going to be interested in trading something that is like where's another example that I could tell you, a coin that I'd know, just I'd look at it and just think, there's not a trade for me there. Maybe on like Vibe, like when it's just like grinding down, there's no opportunity there. For example, this was a really nice trade, XEM. So this one actually swing failure pattern the low. Okay, so this was a big one. Swing failure pattern the low, formed the double bottom, and then you got a massive, again, this one's still moving up as well, by the way. So that from that double bottom is 20%. Like some of these altcoins, random altcoins, as long as you have the alerts, there was my alert for that one on the 15th. Like as long as you have these alerts set up, then you can like trade these random alts. But yeah, going back to the question, I suppose, going back to the question of when you are looking for when I'm looking for harmonics, do I I just do eyeball it, and then once I've visually identified like a setup in general, then that's when I'll do more work on the chart. But yeah, I can generally find a setup in like 15 seconds. If I look at a chart, I can say there's a setup there or there's not a setup in literally 10 seconds. I would be able to decipher. I want to say, and not bragging or anything, but I would skim through my list and it takes me 10 seconds for me to decide there's a trade or there's not a trade. And then if I see there's a trade, then that's when I'll start spending, another 1 hour on the chart. But, initially 10 seconds, I could say yes or no. Anyway, there's that. So moving on to the shark. Oh, shark, absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You actually seeing this quite a lot on Bitcoin. Okay. And it's really, 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 really nice. I love the shark harmonic, okay? Because of the fact that if you get this C on a swing failure, it's just lovely, okay? So, yeah, you can like incorporate the shark with a swing failure. Oh yeah, I had a question earlier that I would like to cover really quickly, and that was from Mike actually, and he had the question of, can you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and then have a harmonic that does something like this, okay, and then have, let's say, a cipher that goes like this, okay, and then go like this. So if this makes sense to you all, again, you have to have a little bit of Elliott wave theory, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we get our A, B, C correction, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So that is 100% valid, and like you could use like this cipher pattern, for example, to trade A, B, C correction back up for the D. Remember, D is a short, and where do you aim for the short? You go to the CC, okay, and then from that CC, what standard of wave 2 retracement is the 618. So then, for example, you could go this into wave 2, and you know, absolutely, that was a really good question. I loved that question. I just wanted to do it on stream while I remembered, to show you that they're 100% really valid and like a good way of thinking about it. So I liked that very much. So there was that I just wanted to cover as well before I move on to the shark, okay. And so yeah, so I love this shark pattern. So the shark, okay, it's pretty similar, if I'm honest, to the cipher that I've just shown, apart from the D is more impulsive, okay, because you obviously know from X to A, with the cipher you aim for the 786, with this one you're aiming for much higher targets, as well as the way that you calculate C is also obviously the standard harmonic way, where you take your extension of A to B, okay, and that's looking for a 1.133 or 1.618, okay. So if we just draw out the shark a second, okay, so let's just draw, just at the moment not on any chart, but let's just do it like this. So we are looking like this, okay. So remember how we get our target for B, okay. Actually, I didn't mention this, so shark is a little bit unique as well, where it doesn't actually have like a defined has to be this on B, and I'm pretty sure I've wrote it here. So yeah, price retraces commonly to 382, but can go up to 886, and I've wrote this. Actually, there's not a minimum or a maximum requirement on a shark for the B leg. Okay, this could be as small as 236, for example. Okay, so it can be a small retracement up. You know, you don't want to go above X wave, obviously, but you know, 886 is generally your highest fib level. But you know, one could say that officially the B has not got a defined range, okay, so this B could be really small, it could be really big, as long as obviously it starts to get a move up here, okay. So as long as you get something going on here, okay, some sort of retracement, and as long as it doesn't break the X, the B wave can be really big or it can be really small, to be honest, okay. Generally though, we obviously want to see between a 382 and an 886, but you know, it doesn't have to be that big. So bear that in mind, okay. But then once you've got your B wave in, okay, you're looking for A to B, put that onto expansion, sorry, and you would really, you know, it would be really nice to see the 1618, okay. That would be like perfect, okay, if you got a 1618, just because we like 618s and that's the lowest price before like you would kind of start getting invalidated. So you know, the 133 to 1618, again, you want to look for some confluence at these levels, don't just trade off in its own, but that's what you're looking for the C, okay. Then point D is located between a 1618 and 2.24 of points B to C, okay, and a 886 to 13 of X to A. So how are we doing this? Okay, so if we're looking for point D here, we go from B to C, okay, and we're also going from X to A, okay. Then on this one, we'll just put on standard, okay, and really this can come between the 88, so let's say like the 886 here would actually be a nice target. It doesn't have to come up this high, okay, it doesn't have to come up this high, it just starts getting valid at this region, okay. So like that's where you can look for confluence. So this is where, yeah, so the sharp line doesn't have to come up, obviously it can break the 8, so this is where you need confluence, and this is why I always say don't trade this pattern alone, because that is a little bit naive. You want to see where the confluence is, because if you have the confluence at the 886, or look for the 886, but if you obviously have confluence higher up, outside, external of the pattern, then obviously you're going to be looking higher, okay. So this is where you're going to need to use some other technical analysis, because it could be between any of these regions, okay, up to 2.24, which in this example would be up 2.24, 0.24. Okay, you can see this number moving here. So like this would be valid. So you could obviously come, that's like a 1% difference. So you just have to be aware. You could end here, you could end a bit higher. Okay, but that's how you work out where you get to point D. Okay. So yeah, I love the shark. And now this, I suppose, is a little bit of a brag, but I'm so happy with this because this was one of my greatest trades ever on Bitcoin. The way that I predicted this, I think, was absolutely outstanding. So I'm more than happy to remind you all of this great prediction. And it was this shark while we were still forming C. It was literally while we were still forming C. I was saying, this were my exact words. Sorry, but I will have to retire. If 7,400 holds and we go on to hit target, that target being 9,000, guess what happened? We came down, we held 7,400, okay, and then we went on to 10,500. Absolutely nailed it. I was short to 7,400. 7,400, I went long. At 7,400, I traded my longs up to 9,000. I literally traded that perfectly, and that is not me trying to brag. That is just me showing you it was the shark. And I have not just called this, but I in fact put money on the line, actually traded it. I've obviously in older videos have shown evidence. I think it was in the Champions live stream, shown evidence of like, I'm putting money where my mouth is sort of thing. And that is the power of the harmonics, being able to recognize them that early, trading. Okay, with the confluence. Obviously, the confluence that we had here was a swing failure of the highs. I can remember this very well indeed, okay? I remember this very well indeed. We swing failure the highs, okay? From the swing failure of the highs, we obviously dropped down to 7,000, around 7,400. We dropped slightly through it. Let's just load up the chart because I have to say it's absolutely amazing, that prediction. So let's just remind you all of how good this was. So we were back in, it was here, wasn't it? So so this is the 10th of October. So let's go back to the October range. Okay, so the October range, here we were. Okay, so from this October range, we obviously go, let's take out our harmonics, from the top of the range, down to the low, up to the high, down to 7,400, up to the highs. Is this looking... Yes, so it was here. X to A, to B, to C. And then I was looking for this D. Obviously, I wasn't expecting such a rise to 10,500, to be honest. But nevertheless, I was looking at around 9K region. Okay, and that was this harmonic. And as you can see, from basically 8,000, from 8,000 we did drop down to 7,400, the exact low being 7,300. But you can see it was just all wicks. We never ever closed below 7,400, so there was 0 closes below that level. Okay, and obviously the target got absolutely smashed. Who's complaining when you're long? We obviously smashed that target and came all the way up to 10,500. Okay, so I just needed to highlight that because that was just insane. Okay, so yeah, there was that. Okay, so that's the shark harmonic, and I hope that I have identified the amazingness of that. But then it's the fact that the shark harmonic goes into a 5-0. So all well and good, okay? All well and good that we had that 5-0 pattern. I mean the shark, and then we get the next step on. And I'm going to go back a second and explain the shark if needed. Okay, if anyone has a question and would like me to show you the shark again, just say. But if not, I'm going to continue here. That the shark is exactly the same. The 5-0 is exactly the same as the shark, but obviously you get a next leg, and that's actually trading the D to the E, which you would do in the shark. So remember, in the shark, you actually short point D. Okay, so that I've explained how you find point D, and then you actually trade point D. Okay, so take profit 1 is the 0.5 retracement of C to D. You look for take profit 1. Okay, because that goes into the 5-0. If you go through the 0.5, then your take profit 2 is the high or low of C. Okay, so that's all the way down at these lows. Bear that in mind, please. Take profit 1 is the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. If you then lose the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, take profit 2 is the low of C. Just think about this for 1 second because I'm going to blow your minds. Okay? Okay. Get ready. So obviously we then go from the lows here up to the highs. Okay? Can you see? Can you see here? Let me just like try and hide everything else on this chart because it's just absolutely amazing what I'm going to show you. So let's hide this. 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 Okay, so then let's put on, remember, all we need is the 0.5 Fibonacci. Okay, I love it. I absolutely do love it. So right, as you all know, X, A, B, C, D. Once you got D, where do you look for? The 0.5 Fibonacci to trade a 5-0 pattern. Okay, so to trade this 5-0 pattern. Okay, so point E will retrace to the 0.5 of CD, okay, to the CD, and should also be the reciprocal of BC equals DE. So that is BC equals DE. So these are similar time and price, basically. So the time that takes this should be similar to this. Okay. Yeah. So that's basically how you look for that. Okay. So then at point E, you can take a Fibonacci extension from C to D to E and target a 1-to-1 extension. Because obviously, if this is, I'm going to save that for a second because you can move on to Elliott wave theory again. Okay, so bear me 1 second. But basically, C, let's just do this one more time. C to D, the target is the 0.5 fib. We had a decrease in price for a total of 15%. Hopefully, I'm blowing your minds here. After that decrease in price, we hit the 0.5 Fibonacci. As you all know, I was still at the time, don't get me wrong, I was still bullish on this trade. And I traded this long from the 0.5 Fibonacci. From the 0.5 Fibonacci, we got an increase in price of 11%. Okay, remembering that this whole rise anyway was 44%. Literally, I made 7 figures. And this is like, to be honest, like, this is where one trade, you know, I could have taken a few years off from trading, and that's where the joke was. That's where the joke was. Sorry, but I could. It was obviously a joke, and I'm not going to do that. But you know, I made 7 figures off of this trade, so yeah. This is where in trading, if you have one good trade a year, that's all you care about. But I love it and I'm addicted, so I'm not quitting. But obviously from C to D, we hit the 0.5. I traded that long again. Have a guess where we turned around here. Have a guess where this wick is. Can you work out where this wick is right here? I'll give you a second, see if anyone can remember. You can probably tell I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Yeah. So from the 0.5, let's put on the CC here. Okay. From the high of that wick down to the low. 618 to the exact dollar. Exact dollar. High to low. Hit the 618, and you cannot tell me that Fibonacci is just not amazing. Literally, you would have shorted this. This was a swing failure pattern. Okay, so everything I've taught so far, you could have made so much money on it, so much money indeed, because this was all bearish at the time. This was all bearish. Okay, this short was not a hard short. This short from B to C was not a hard short. That obviously shorted from here, trading longs up to D. Then obviously we got the retrace again where I traded along up to here. I stayed long, okay, until we lost this low. So I will openly say I made a losing trade here, okay. I lost the long, okay. Don't get me wrong, I was in massive profits when I got stopped out eventually, but I was still long on this drop, okay. So that's one thing I want to be aware of. It wasn't absolute perfection because my invalidation was losing the 0.5 Fibonacci. Okay, but I was definitely aware that while this held, I was looking for a 1-to-1 extension. Okay, so I was long at this point. But guess what happened? We went from D to 0.5 up to the 618. At this level, I did scalp a short. So I was scalping, but then still net long. But nevertheless, obviously from there, we came back down. We touched the 0.5 Fibonacci again. We broke back up. Think back to the cheat sheet that I've just shown you. As soon as you break the 0.5 Fibonacci, so let's load up this again. If you break, okay, so if you break the 0.5 fib, okay, you look for the lows of C, okay, so going back to the shark, sorry, if you break, okay, so take profit 1 is the 0.5 Fibonacci of C to D. As you'll know, on Bitcoin, we got the bounce off of the 0.5 Fibonacci, but if that level is lost, it invalidates the 0.5 and take profit 2, or for me, it was a new short position, you're looking for the lows of C. So as you all know, this was, again, all on live stream. I have total evidence of this. You can just, not that I would have to lie, but some people seem to think that I don't make money trading, which I just find hilarious. But yeah, apparently, I don't know. Anyway, no time on this. But yeah, this is all on live stream. There's full total video evidence of the shorts that I was taking. Okay, and guess what? As soon as we lost that 0.5 Fibonacci, okay, as soon as we lost that 0.5 Fibonacci, we also had, so I've not got it marked here, but as you know, there was a monthly here at 9,000. Okay, but I've removed it from the chart. But we also had the monthly backtest. Okay, this was also at the time a kind of triangle. Okay, if you can remember, we had what we thought was some sort of triangle going on here. Okay, obviously broke down, back tested that. So the important thing is, okay, the important thing is for this triangle that we had support flip to resistance. Okay, that was the time to short from 9k. Okay, also the fact that we broke the 0.5 Fibonacci level. Okay, and this is where I'm going back to the harmonic and going back to the 0.5. Okay, so remember the shark. Okay, so remember the shark that as soon as you lose the 0.5, that invalidates the 5-0 pattern, because this is all dependent on the 0.5 Fibonacci. So as soon as you lose that 0.5, you look for the low of C. Okay, take profit 2 is the low of C. Have a guess what happened in the coming months, bit of time. We obviously come down and you did get to the lows of C. Then, as you all know, from the lows of C is when we started having these massive, that's obviously from the low of C, we formed our inverse head and shoulders. Okay, and obviously from there we had another rise in price. So all very well indeed, isn't it? But yeah, that must say all stemmed from the shark harmonic, and I was short during all of this. Anyway, who literally cares? I'm not here to try and say anything anymore about that trade, but that was just that. I just wanted to show you that it all come from this shark. Okay, so I hope that you can all appreciate how literally amazing harmonics were. To get that short, to get that long, to switch short here, to trade from literally nailing the short, nailing the long, to nailing at this point. So I did trade this long to here. Actually, I guess I was long to where I was stopped out here, okay, on this drop. But then from getting stopped out at long, knowing to go short, and then trading that all the way back down to here, okay? And then as you all know, just to blow your minds a little bit more, that we obviously then went from this low to this high, came to the CC, and from that CC we had our increase in price again. So absolutely amazing, isn't it? So Fibonacci all over this market. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Any questions at all? Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Price again. So that we obviously then went from this low to this high, came to the CC, and from that CC we had our increase in price again. So absolutely amazing, isn't it? So Fibonacci all over this market. Yeah, does anybody have any questions? Any questions at all? Yeah, I remember that post. I should have collected more clout for this on Twitter, I think, because I'm sure people will. I can imagine the trolls already. There's no way you've done this, Daniel. Yeah, that was insane. That was insane to get that drop. Literally, I would have been my ego. It's really hard to control when I do these sort of things. But yeah, to call the drop, to then call the long, to the who else thought we were going to go 7,400 coming up to 9Ks? I don't know, maybe there was someone, I'm sure there was, but yeah, that shark harmonic probably helped them too, and that's the power of the shark. Yeah, there have been more. Unfortunately, on this trading view, I remove everything, so there were other sharks, and unfortunately, I've removed them from this chart. But yeah, this is more of a common pattern, so you do see this one more often. Okay, I'm not going to spend time going through the chart to try and find it again, but yeah, there have been several over the last few months on Bitcoin, on smaller term time frame. There's been more. Yeah, So does anybody have any questions at all on harmonics? So any of the harmonics I guess I've covered thus far, really, I'd be interested, or willing to answer your questions. Oh yeah, so this is the last slide that I had. As I was mentioning last week, volume N can add confluence to a harmonic pattern. Okay, so if you are trading a pattern such as shark, where an external move from X to A, you want to see that move of C happen on lesser volume than the move from X to A. This is a type of divergence. What I mean here is that, let's say this happened on the downward move overall 100 million volume. Okay, let's say that you then go from B to C, and this move here happens on 25, negative 25 million. Well, clearly there's a divergence in volume. You're moving down on lesser volume. That's what I mean. Like, you want to see that lesser volume, because if you move down here on 100 million collectively, and then here you move down on 200 million collectively, well, there's still clear selling pressure through the lows. You want to see that selling pressure dry up. Okay. Yep. How to find a place for a shark. So basically you just need to see the confluence. You want to see, so it's just a series of putting the Fibonacci's together. So you go from X to A, get your Fibonacci retracement, A to B, get your Fibonacci, and then officially you want to see your third. So officially 3 Fibonacci's coming together. Okay, and then once you got these, like 1, 2, 3, 4, essentially. People would say wait for the 4th to complete and then look for the short. Okay, and if you had shorted D in the end, it would have traded well, actually. But yeah, to answer the question of how to find a place for a shark, you just need to firstly find. So I guess the best example is the one that I found on Phantom. Okay, and it is just the fact of this is, let's just class this as a shark for the sake of purpose. How to find a shark? Well, we need to firstly find our Fibonacci levels. So from X to A to B, and then officially we're waiting for this last one to play out. But that's how you find a shark, by just find these Fibonacci levels coming together, or these Fibonacci series of numbers coming together, and that's how you find a harmonic. So it requires use of Fibonacci. retracements and extensions. Cool. And obviously next week I am going to cover Fibonacci time for you all as well, and that is important to this. But yeah, if there's no other questions, I will just move on to Bitcoin to end pretty briefly. There's really not too much for me to cover here, if I'm honest. But yeah, I will give it a bit of time because there's a little bit. There's not too much for me to cover. So these are some important levels you can see off the bat. 9,500, 9,150 was a monthly. Not sure where that's been deleted. Yeah, there we go. So all these levels, I suppose, are important. But for me, some of the bigger... firstly, I'll just give you some levels off the bat that are going to be important if we drop down. That's 8,300. Okay, 8,300, then the start of this impulse area around 8,000. So 8,000, 8,300. Let me just hide these levels. Obviously, to the top side, 9,500 is important. Okay, 10,700 if it gets impulsed, but 9,500 is the big level. I just want to hide this a second, just to show you what we have at the moment. Okay, at the moment we're just in a really dead range. Okay, dead as in the volume is awful. It's just not great trading, and I don't really recommend anyone to be trading in this range, to be honest. It's not, especially where you are now. Like right now, you are literally sat in the middle of this range, which is already kind of dead. So obviously traded a lot. So yesterday I took one trade all day, and that was the low of this wick. Got filled at 8,500. So I did trade that low. Obviously that was when I was at the time looking at this move down on lesser volume, and it was going into the funding. And I can do a whole live stream on... Let me find this, because I want to do a live stream on this, but I just had so many questions about it. I'm going to try and find it now. So this drop was happening at 1930. Let me just... I'm really sorry to hold you up here, but I'm just trying to find this because I just had so many questions about the trade that I took. If I can find it. Yes, so here we have this. So this is from yesterday, highlighting to everybody that the funding is due to be paid in 9 minutes time. What do you expect, just before funding? This is obviously to be, you have to pay if you're in a long, so it favors shorts. So when you see this like funding, you expect a drop going into funding, and then still with 4 minutes to go. So again, this was before the pump. I went into this long scalp, okay, and that was kind of based off of this funding, okay. So what we had here, okay, so if we come down to even the 1 minute chart, okay, 1 minute chart, the pump exactly, we need to go back a little bit. So the pump exactly happens here at, you see, 801. Pump happens really 802. Okay, I posted that I was going into the long at 1956. So I think I posted, got filled there, 8,005. Obviously now I'm always hiding my contracts because I don't want to be a target anymore. So yeah, but I got filled 8,500, posted about it slightly before that at, I was into the long at 1956. The pump happened at 802, and that was 100. In my opinion, it was all based off of this funding. When you know what you're doing, it's not too difficult. But since that was the one trade that I took yesterday, and I'm out of that long again now. So right now I'm in zero position. As you can see, what we've done in the end was we come up to the month with the weekly here, 8,750, rejected off of it once, rejected off of it twice, come back down to the middle of the range. And I'm not interested in taking another trade here, if I'm honest. This is the thing, where we have to be patient. We just have to be patient at this moment in time. There's no point in taking a trade off in the middle of this range. If you do, you're more likely than not going to lose money. I'll be totally honest with you. I think you're going to lose money if you long here or you short here. Okay, whatever trade off the middle of this range is a poor trade. I really do think that. So what I'm looking for next, if I'm honest with you, okay, two options. One is where I'll be looking for a long, and that is if we come down, swing follow this low and come back up. What I would really like to see on a swing follow of this low is here we have a Fibonacci speed fan of this 618. Okay, so as you can see from this low to this high, 618 speed fan would be amazing if we got a swing fire of that low and come down to touch this. So if we see something like this, I'd buy as soon as we come back into here, and I would be looking for a target top of the range. Okay, so that's 8,750. But obviously, if it gets a bit more follow through, I'm really looking up to 8916 daily. Okay, 8916 daily level. And if we start claiming 9,000, then obviously we'll be looking up to the highs, 9,200, 9,500 again. Okay, so there's that in mind of the bullish scenario. For me to go long now, I would prefer to see the drop, swing failure, get back above the level. Then I would look for a long. Otherwise, I'm in spot long at the moment, so. If it just goes up from here, I'm not going to cry about it. But for a leverage position, I'm looking for that. And for a short position, okay, what I would look to see is come up to the daily 8,900, reject off of that daily. I'd look to enter a short with a stop above the high, and then at least trade that back down to 8,750. Or if it got come back down to the low of the range, so we still then do have this 618 holding us up here. But really, I have that monthly that I know is sat at 8,300, which I feel is really key. Okay. 8,300 is a key level. Start of the impulse 8,100. So those are some key levels to the downside if we do break down. I would look for a short off of a rise, or alternatively you don't swing failure this, and if we just start breaking down here, retest, reject, to come back down again, I'd look for a short really down to around 8,300, take profit 1 to around 8,000 ish, being this order block. Okay, so you got that bullish order block here, so look for around 8,088, 8,150, so around 8,088, let's just say. Got that support, obviously 8,000 psychological, but that is what I totally mean by waiting for the trade to come to you. I'm not going to try and guess or predict which way this is going to break. I'm just going to say I'm going to trade the way that it breaks. So I'm not going to try and predict from here whether we're breaking up or whether we're breaking down. I couldn't care less. I think I can make money if we break up or if we break down. I'm fairly confident in making money on the trade. I'm just not confident on making money on the trade from here and guessing which way it's going to break, if that makes sense. Couldn't care less which way it breaks. I feel I'm going to make money, but I'm not in the business of right now predicting what way it's going to break, because I can openly say to you I don't know which way this is going to break. I honestly feel there's I've spent a good few hours on this chart, and there's really good confluence of this breaking up from here, and there's also really good confluence of it breaking down. And with that being the case, where I can find a lot of reasons to long and a lot of reasons to short, I don't feel there's a good trade here. I really don't. I just feel that this is a total gamble, because there's really strong reasons for both scenarios. And when that is the case, wait for the setup to come to us. Don't try and lose, don't try and just gamble of what way this is going. Wait for the setup of that to come down or up. Obviously, from that bullish or bearish scenario, obviously I gave around this. This was a fractal that I showed you all last week, and since that at 8,600, we got the move up to 9,150 that I was expecting from, not just from a fractal standpoint, but just because I was expecting the move up. We did get that move up to 9,150. Swing failure in the highs, and then that, if this fractal plays out, then you could see lower levels of 8k coming in basically. So yeah, you obviously can be aware of this fractal 8,876, then back up to take the highs 9,500 again. But this is something that I have in mind, not necessarily trading off it at the moment, but yeah, just basically waiting for Bitcoin. We're not in the game really of predicting, having an ego and a bias. So we're just here to make money, but I don't think you're going to make money by trading the middle of this range. I think this is no trade. We just got to wait. So yeah, there's my perspective on Bitcoin as well. I think that's helpful, because I've kind of told you exactly how I'm looking to trade. It's just at the moment I'm not in a trade, but yeah. No worries at all. I'm glad that's more clear. On that BTC Shark Harmonic, you had a monthly level above the target of C. Whether that not being the target? Yes. So this Shark Harmonic that you're referring to from back here, yeah, I can remember 100%. There was the monthly that had a confluence. So it's just I moved so many levels off my chart. But obviously we had back here would have been this monthly here. Can't remember which monthly it was now. Oh no, it was a weekly. I'm fairly sure it was a weekly of it was this weekly. So that was the confluence at 7,400. It was the weekly. And if you remember very, very, very well indeed, if your memory serves you correctly, okay, what we actually done was, this is really, really nice. So that was obviously our weekly 7.6. What we done here was we swing valued the lows, and that was for medium really important thing. So okay, so that low was obviously 7,435. What you done was you swing forward that low, Okay, and then as soon as you reclaimed it, then it was like, yeah, really nice. But yeah, that was obviously a really big swing failure pattern. Okay, so you come down, took the lows of this consolidation before the really, really, really big rise in price. So that was obviously a rise of, we're talking 76%. So massive rise in price. Okay, that was the consolidation that led to that, 80% rise. What we done is was swing failure pattern, the low, and that's why you got 45% rise. I can remember very, very, very clearly stating to everyone that I was long at this point. And obviously it worked out very, very nicely. But yeah, there was also a weekly level, and it was a swing failure of those lows, specifically the 4th of June low. And I can actually remember talking about that low while we were sat in the triangle. Okay, I can definitely remember talking about that scenario while we were sat in that descending triangle of 7,400 being an important level because of those lows. I remember it as clear as day, to be honest. But yeah, there's that. So yeah. Examples of harmonic on stocks. I'll post some stocks for you in here. Oh yeah, Tesla. That was up crazy amount today. So, well, Tesla's just been up massive, massive, massive lately in general. Today, how much are we up now? What is going on here? Anyway, I can remember that Tesla's up massive today. 4%. Oh, that's declined slightly. That was up about 8% earlier. But yeah, Tesla's just on fire at the moment. But yeah, I'll post my some of the harmonics that I have for stocks in here for you. Do I reckon it's worth laddering longs? No, not really. I'm not interested in laddering longs or trying to knife catch this. I'm only interested in a swing failure pattern. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that's not what I would do. So I guess if you think it's worth a long, then go for it, man. But it's not what I'm going to do. I only want to trade a swing failure. Okay, although I do definitely see the support 8,300 to 8,000, there's a really good opportunity there, but I would just prefer to trade the swing failure. Okay, or even short. I'd prefer to short it from 8,000, 400 to 8,000 sort of thing, rather than laddering longs. I'd prefer to play that short and then look for a long once I've seen some confirmation, as long as you don't swing failure. So yeah, that's not how I'm trading it. Okay, I prefer to trade it short if we lost that support and didn't swing failure it, then look for longs. Could I take a quick look at ETH? No, I'm not going to take a look at ETH. Sorry, I'm not going to, I don't do requests, so I'm not going to take a look at ETH, because if I do take a look at ETH, then someone else is going to say, can you take a look at this, can you take a look at this, can you take a look at this, and I'd be never ending. So yeah, I'm not being personal, but I'm just not going to take a look at ETH for you. I might look at ETH and send it in this chat, but yeah, it's not something I'm going to do on stream. But yes, I probably will take a look at ETH for you and send it in here, but I don't want to do it on stream, if I'm honest, just because of a kind of a rule that I have of not taking requests. But yeah, there's that. How do you trade a swing failure pattern? I've done a whole live stream on how to trade a swing failure pattern, so I recommend you look at that live stream. Yeah, there's a whole live stream covering it, so that's probably a good 1.5 to 2 hour video of swing failure pattern. But yeah, I'm going to call it a night here, so I hope that you've all thoroughly enjoyed tonight's stream. Yeah, from going on to that last amazing call last week to what I'm liking this week to the harmonic patterns. Obviously, we've now finished harmonics, so I hope that you would appreciate how really amazing they are. Honestly, honestly, that trade that I took on Bitcoin, that trade literally could have kept me going for a few years, and that's the power of trading. That one trade, let's just say in a hypothetical world that I lost, 50 trades in a row. Okay, I lost 50 trades in a row, and then I take one winner like that, and totally just makes back everything, because this is the thing, you need to keep your losses really small. Okay, so keep your losses really small, and then when you get a winner like that, obviously I've got a good win rate, so it's not a problem for me, but for some of the other people, you take so many losses, but then when you get one winner like that using technical analysis, it will compensate fully and more. Not financial advice, because I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a trader that is generous, showing his skills, I suppose. But no, I love seeing you all succeed. I know that many people in the group have started posting these a lot more now, and it makes me really proud, to see people learning and improving. Some of the messages that I'm changing people's lives, for me, is like a really proud, good feeling. So I feel I'm doing my job well, and I hope you feel that I am also doing my job well, I suppose. So if you do feel I'm doing my job well, then that is good for you and good for me, I suppose. So thank you very much. I'll catch you in next week's stream, which will be Fibonacci time, and just have a brilliant and blessed week, everybody. Let's enjoy. Don't necessarily get angered that we're going sideways on Bitcoin. Use that time to go watch some of my old live streams and refresh your memory, okay? Because that in the long run is going to make you more money than trying to trade this range. That's yes, for you to decipher. So thank you once again, everybody. I will catch you next week, and cheers. Thank you. Good night. Bye.